Wait a minute. What did I just come into this room for again? Oh, right. It had something to do with supplements and memory. Stick around for some new research on vitamin supplements for cognitive health and who might get the most benefit from taking them. Hello, and welcome back to the Nutrition Diva podcast, a show where we dig through all the nutrition headlines, memes, and trends to ferret out the ones that are A, true, and B, can actually make a positive difference in your health. I'm your host, Monica Reinagel, and I really appreciate that you chose to spend a few minutes of your day with me today. Now, many of you listening are, like me, starting to enjoy the wisdom and equanimity that comes with age. Just kidding. We are all freaking out about our thinning hair and our aching knees and our sagging skin. As Betty Davis wisely pointed out, aging is not for sissies. But all kidding aside, while those visible signs of aging can be annoying, it's the invisible signs of aging that often cause us the most worry. Those occasional lapses in memory or concentration. And the idea of losing our cognitive ability as we age is uniquely disturbing because it's not just the inconvenience of a forgotten name or detail. It's the fear that these minor lapses could signal the beginning of something more serious, like mild cognitive impairment or even dementia. And I think that's why diets and programs and supplements that promise to preserve or even boost our brain health are so appealing. But do they deliver? And if so, for whom? Well, today I want to unpack a recent study that looked at the effects of nutritional supplements on cognitive function. And this research was conducted in China, and it focused on older adults who were already exhibiting signs of mild cognitive impairment. So that means they may have been experiencing some noticeable changes in their memory or their thinking skills, but not to the extent that it was significantly interfering with their daily lives, at least not yet. So these participants were divided into 4 groups, and one group took 400 micrograms a day of folic acid. Another took 800 milligrams of DHA. And just to refresh your memory, DHA is one of the 2 main fatty acids found in fish oil. The other one is EPA. And while EPA is known for its heart health benefits, DHA is particularly important to brain health. The third group in that study took both folic acid and DHA in the same dosages, and then the last group received a placebo. They took these supplements for 6 months, so it was a nice long trial, during which their cognitive performance was evaluated. And the results were promising, although I do have some caveats for you. All 3 of the supplement groups showed improvements in various measures of cognitive performance, such as memory and problem-solving skills. Those taking the combined supplements showed the greatest improvements, and those who were just taking the DHA on its own showed the least. But the gains didn't last. When the supplements were discontinued, cognitive performance started to decline again. Now, there's an obvious solution to that. You could just keep taking the supplements. These are not extremely high dosages of these nutrients. It's not a terribly expensive regimen, and there are few side effects or risks that we need to worry about. But before we jump to any conclusions about how those findings might apply to us, there is some important context here. As I said earlier, this study was done in China, where about 20% of older adults are deficient in folate. And this is not the case in the United States or Canada, where folic acid fortification programs ensure that most people do get enough from their diets. And similarly, DHA intake is strikingly low in this population. We know from other studies that low folate and DHA levels are strongly associated with cognitive decline, and addressing these deficiencies with supplements could very well lead to measurable improvements in cognitive function. The question is, would taking these supplements provide any benefit for someone who is not deficient in folate and or DHA? Maybe not. And in fact, meta-analyses show that taking folic acid only improves cognitive health in those places where they don't have mandatory folic acid fortification. And this illustrates an important but often overlooked point about vitamin supplementation, and that is that the people who benefit the most are often those who start out with a deficiency. If you're already getting enough of these nutrients from your diet, supplementation might not make much difference. And you can get too much of a good thing, particularly with folic acid. The recommended upper limit for folic acid is 1,000 micrograms a day, and that limit includes the amount that you're getting from fortified foods as well as what you might be taking as a supplement. So the typical United States adult gets 100 to 300 micrograms, about a third of that, of folic acid from fortified foods such as cereal, bread, or pasta. So in that case, an 800 microgram supplement could easily take you over the recommended limit. Consuming more than the recommended upper limit of folic acid, and that's 1,000 micrograms a day, can mask a vitamin B12 deficiency, which older people are already at increased risk of. And as I discussed in a previous episode, and we'll put a link to this in the show notes, some studies have linked excessive folic acid intake from supplements to an increased risk of colon cancer, particularly in individuals who have a history of precancerous polyps. Now, fortunately, none of those concerns apply to folate, and that is the form of the nutrient that you get from foods as opposed to supplements. So for me, the takeaway here is that ensuring adequate folate and DHA intake through our diets is a really smart move, and not just for cognitive health. So let's talk about how we might do that. Folate is found in dark leafy greens, especially spinach, but also kale and Swiss chard, as well as in legumes such as lentils, black beans, and chickpeas. So if you want to bump up your folate intake, find more ways to cook with spinach. You could saute it and add it to your eggs for an easy frittata, or stir a few handfuls of raw spinach into any hot pasta or grains. The heat will wilt it on contact. You don't even need to cook it. You can top your salads with a liberal scoop of chickpeas. Or if you enjoy avocados, you're in luck because they are also a good source of folate. And you can put those on your salads, or you can spread them on toast or blend them into dips. And look, if you don't already have a favorite lentil soup recipe, it is time to find one. And I'm going to include a link to my favorite one in the show notes for today. So that's folate. DHA, on the other hand, is found in fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, sardines, trout, and herring. And just one serving of salmon, that's only just about 3 ounces, can provide well over the recommended daily amount of DHA. So to work more DHA into your diet, you could try replacing a meat-based dinner once or twice a week with a fish-based option. And eating fish twice a week is the current recommendation for general dietary health. A simple salmon fillet baked with olive oil and herbs, or a quick sardine toast on whole grain bread can be delicious but also brain-boosting. And for those of you who don't eat fish, there are algae-based DHA supplements which can provide a plant-based alternative. And you may also find your favorite plant-based milk has been fortified with DHA, so check the label for that. So what's the bottom line here for today? While supplements such as folic acid and DHA may improve cognitive function in people who have a deficiency of those nutrients, it's not clear that they would provide the same benefit for those who are not deficient in those nutrients. I really think that the best and more appetizing approach is to focus on getting these essential nutrients through your diet. Not only are foods like leafy greens and lentils and avocados and fatty fish rich in folate and DHA, they provide a wealth of other nutrients that also support your overall health, and they are delicious. If you have a question you'd like me to answer, you can email me at nutrition@quickanddirtytips.com. You can also leave me a voicemail at 443-961-6206. And to find out about having me present at your next live or virtual event, you can learn more about my workshops and keynote addresses at my website, wellnessworkshere.com. Nutrition Diva is a Quick and Dirty Tips podcast. Our team includes Brandon Getchis, Davina Tomlin, Holly Hutchings, Nathan Sems, and Morgan Christensen, as well as Nate Hoops. That's it for this episode. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next week.